Hopes and Shadows, Chapter 7, Of Maidens and Monsters, by Stephen Little. My Little Pony and all associated characters are copyright by Hasbro.
Yes, yes, baby bird, yes!
Honey kissed her new fiancé and hugged him tightly. But you can't get married, you're too young, Brayburn protested. No, they're not, Twilight corrected him. 16 is the age of consent, and as long as they have a parent's permission, there's nothing against it.
And they do!
Pinky, Rainbow, and Soren shouted in unison. Clyde, don't you have anything to say about this? Brayburn asked.
She's your granddaughter.
Suppose I have a few things to say. First, I want to thank Inky and Blinky. You girls did an excellent job on those bands. The other one is exactly the way I described it to you. Clyde looked around the room at the slack-jaw expressions on the ponies in his home, all but Pinky. Her smile lit up the entire room. What, this old-timer still has a few marbles rattling around between his ears? I knew what the boy would do if backed into a corner. And that's just what you did, Brayburn. That's why I had the second band made.
Is that true, Jato? You only asked me because you were desperate?
Honey asked, the stress of the situation causing her stomach to churning angrily. Jato kissed the mare's cheek softly. No, Bee. At first it was supposed to be a promise band, something to prove that I love you and would never leave you. But when I saw those 2 bracelets in the box, I knew what I needed to do, and I don't regret any of it. And that brings me to my second point, Clyde said. Jato, I'm right proud of you, boy. That took a lot of courage, and you did it well. However, I'm going to warn you this once, and only this once. If you ever hurt my grandbaby, you'll have more than the Apple family to deal with. Yes, sir, Jato answered him, looking into the old pony's stern gaze and swallowing hard. Lately, Brayburn, I have a lady friend coming over tonight, and if you haven't made peace with Jato by then, I'll ask Princess Luna to marry the 2 of them right here and now. Brayburn sat there with a confused look on his face. Brayburn, could I possibly talk to you for a moment in the next room? Luna asked him. The blonde stallion followed her into the next room that turned out to be Clyde's bedroom. Looking around, he noticed how plain the room appeared. No carpet or wall hangings. There was one chair along the wall on the left side of the large bed. The bed itself was not all that remarkable. The blanket covering the surface was slate gray with no pattern. Opposite the bed on the far wall sat a dresser with a large mirror on top of it. On the dresser sat multiple pictures of ponies in the old stallion's life. One special picture frame held a photo of his long-departed wife, while the others contained many, many pictures of his 3 daughters, Inky, Blinky, and Pinky. Was there something you needed, Princess Luna? Yes, I wanted to talk to you away from the others. I know this can't be easy for you, but I felt you should know that Clyde wasn't joking. When I arrived, he told me about what he had planned. The old stallion is a very sweet pony. I also want to inform you that if he asks, I will marry Honey and Jato on the spot if they want. Luna put a hoof on his right shoulder. Brayburn, you need to make peace with Jato. Honey loves him, and if you succeed in driving him off, she will never forgive you. You'll lose her, Brayburn, and most likely Pinky as well. Please try to make peace. You're right, Princess. I know in my heart that Honey loves that little Pegasus, and no matter what I say, there's nothing I can do to change that. For their sake, I will do my best. The 2 ponies rejoined the others in the living room. Luna sat back down next to Twilight, while Brayburn walked over to Blossom and held a quick whispered conversation with her. After a while, Blossom nodded, trying to keep her bottom lip from quivering. Applejack rested a hoof around her cousin's shoulder, while Macintosh stroked her mane affectionately. Brayburn walked over to where Jato and Honey were sitting, and sat in front of them. Where do I start? This was a while ago, back when Blossom and me were both 14 and living in Appaloosa. We were sick and thieves back then, always getting into all kinds of trouble. Appaloosa was still being built and drew ponies from all over Equestria, looking for work, and some who were looking for a new start in life away from the city. One of the newcomers was an orange earth pony with a dark brown mane by the name of Charger. He was 20 at the time, and I absolutely idolized him. He was funny, he was strong, and all the fillies liked him. Well, one day I introduced him to Blossom. They became fast friends and were always hanging out. Sometimes she spent more time with him than me. I noticed Charger getting a mite close with her, but I thought he was just being friendly, and I was letting my jealousy get the better of me. Then one morning I found Blossom behind the Salt Lake saloon, bruised, crying and bleeding. Charger had beat her up, and he raped me," Blossom said, sitting next to Brayburn. "The whole town went looking for Charger, but he'd already left, and no pony knew where he went. I left Appaloosa to live with Applejack and Big Macintosh for a while, but then moved in with our aunt and Uncle Orange. They had a psychologist friend that ran an office not far from their home. It took a while, but she helped me put my life back together." "That wasn't the end of it, though," Brayburn continued. "When Charger did what he did, he hurt her badly. Because of the damage he inflicted inside of her, Blossom can never have a foal." "And that's what you think of me?" Jato asked him, trying to keep his temper in check. "You think I'm some mare-abusing rapist?" "No, I know you aren't Charger or anything like him, but I can't help it. Every time I see you two together, I flash back to him, what he did, and the knowledge that I saw what was happening and did nothing. I swore to myself I'd never let someone I care about be hurt again, not when I could prevent it." Blossom put her hoof on his shoulder. "It's okay, Brayburn. It wasn't your fault. It never was. I don't blame you." "But I'm the one that introduced you to him. I put you in the position in the first place," the Amber Stallion said, trying hard to hide the guilt tearing him up inside. Pinky walked up behind him and slapped him hard upside the head with her right front hoof. "Brazy, would you just shut up and listen for a minute? We're all trying to tell you the same thing, but you need to listen." "Brayburn, even if you hadn't introduced me, it could have happened anyway. All the young mares in town were head over heels for him, myself included. Heck, I think even for a few colts liked him." "I just need some time to think about this, okay? I'm sorry, every pony. Please, just give me a little time. Everything's happening so fast, and I need some time to work this out," the Amber Stallion pleaded. "Okay, Brayburn, you have 1 week, but if this isn't resolved by then, you know what will happen," Luna warned him. There was a sudden knock at the door that caused every pony to glance over at Clyde. "I'll get it," the older tan stallion said as he walked over to the front door and opened it. "Evening, dear. You have excellent timing as always." Rainbow Dash's jaw hit the floor when Clyde's guest walked in. "Mother, what are you doing here?" "And that's my cue to get going. I need to get back to the station and add a few more charges to that rat's record," Garnet said. "Who's that?" Twilight asked the purple stallion. "Charger. I have him locked up back in the station. The magistrate is coming to pick him up tomorrow afternoon, and I need to have all the paperwork ready for him." "That monster is here in Ponyville?" Brayburn shouted. "Yes, I'm going to need you and Blossom to come down to the station to identify him. The incident you described is not on his record. I can press the charges without it, but an identification would help the new charges stick." "But it's been so long, I don't know if it's be worth it to drag all that up again," Blossom said hesitantly. "I know this can't be easy for you, Blossom, but there is no statute of limitations on rape in Equestria, and this additional charge will just make sure he stays in jail even longer. But I don't want to push you into anything you aren't ready for," Garnet said. "No, I'll go," Blossom consented. "I don't want to see him again, but if I can help make sure he never hurts another filly, I'll do it." "I'll go with you, Blossom. I'd be happy to swear out a statement for you, Garnet," Brayburn added. "What about me?" Jato asked. "I heard him trying to get Honey into a bar just before we fought." "Mr. Kingpin hadn't told me anything about that. In that case, you and Honey should also come with us. I'll need a statement from you both." "And I'm going to want every detail of what happened," Brayburn said sternly. "Then let's get going. The sun will start to set soon, and I have some ponies that will be waiting for me at the office tonight." Applejack and Macintosh stood up with them. "You ain't going anywhere without us," Applejack assured them.
"Come on, Garnet. Sooner we get this over with, the sooner we can back to our lives,"
Macintosh said as he held the door for the others. "Luna, dear, why don't you go with them in case Brayburn does something rash? You seem to be able to get through to him." Luna gave her wife a kiss and escorted the others out the door and back towards Ponyville. "Clyde, dear, did I miss something? Are you having a party tonight, and were my daughter's friends talking about some pony in jail?" "Come to my room and I'll explain everything to you," Clyde said as he led her away. Just before entering the room, he lightly smacked her flank and closed the door behind him. Rainbow Dash was stunned. "I did not just see that," Inky, Blinky, we need to talk." As a group of ponies approached the outskirts of town, Luna slowed her gait to allow Blossom and Applejack to catch up with her. "Is everything okay back there?" she asked. "Everything's fine, Princess. We was just catching up on old times. Blossom was just telling me about her cold friend back home," Applejack informed her.
"Really? What's he like, dear?" "Oh, he's just too wonderful for words, Princess," the light pink mare gushed. "Well, to start off with, his name is Trevor, and he's a unicorn. He has a long flowing mane, which is pure white, just like his coat, and his eyes are the prettiest shade of red."
"It almost sounds like he's an albino," the princess surmised.
"He is, but thankfully he doesn't have the problem with sunlight like some do. Oh, and he's a performer too," Blossom informed them.
"He sounds like quite a catch there, cousin. Does he know you can't,
"Yes, he knows. I'm Baron, and he also knows why, but he's been very supportive and caring about the whole thing. We've talked about adoption after we've married next year, but it's so hard these days, and being a stage performer doesn't seem to impress the adoption board," she said. "Well, I don't want to get your hopes up, but there may be a way that Twilight and I could help you out, but it's something you'll want to talk with your fiancé about."
"Really? Oh, thank you, Princess. I don't know what to say," Blossom said, moved to tears by the princess's offer. "There's no guarantee, simply a possibility. After you get home, talk to your cold friend, and then send me a letter here in Ponyville, and we'll go from there," Luna said with a smile. Up ahead, Brayburn finally got the last of the information out of Jato and Honey.
"Seriously? You really bucked that piece of trash across the bowling alley? Oh, wow. I would have paid some real bits to see that," he laughed.
"It's not something I was proud of, Brayburn. I acted like a cocky idiot, and Honey could have gotten hurt. I should have just grabbed her and left, but instead I let my ego get the better of me." "That's very mature of you to say, Jato," Princess Luna said, as she, Applejack, and Blossom caught up with them. "Under the right circumstances, though, I think what you did was the right thing. Had you backed off then, Charger would known he could get you back off again. By standing up to him and exerting your dominance, you made it clear that of the two of you, you were the superior stallion."
"You've been into Twice psychology books again, haven't you, Luna?" Applejack asked, smiling.
"Well, I can't say I understand how you all feel about it,
Jada, but I know me and Big Mac here are mighty proud of you standing up for Honey like that."
As they approached the front door of the sheriff's office, Garnet turned to the others. "Are you sure you want to do this? I was serious when I said I could press charges without your statements." "It's okay, Garnet. I want to do this. I want to make sure the stallion you have locked up is Charger. It would put my mind at rest, knowing he was behind bars," Blossom told him.
"All right.
Come in, and I'll lead you back to the cells." Garnet opened the door and quickly turned on the lights. Leading them to the back, 8 ponies lined up against the wall, watching the prisoner.
"So, I take it this is where I get beat down and told to change my evil ways?" Charger said, walking to the bars.
"That's most definitely him." Blossom and Honey said in unison.
I don't recall," he said to Blossom, "but I remember you just fine, cutie. You get tired of that shrimp back there? Want a real stallion to show you the ropes?"
Jato lunged forward, shooting a hoof through the bars, connecting with Charger's jaw, sending him sprawling against the cot at the back of the cell.
"If you lay a single hoof on her again, I'll tear you apart,"
the blue Pegasus yelled. Brayburn stood there stunned.
"Was it all you needed, Garnet? I'd rather not hang around that scum any more than we need to," Applejack said.
"Yep, an identification was all I needed to tie the charges to his record. I get statements from you tomorrow before the magistrate arrives."
"Why don't you and Macintosh take Honey and Blossom back to the farm? I'm sure Twilight will be along soon."
"I'll be right behind you," Luna said. "Blossom, well, didn't you fill out nicely? If you come by later, I'm sure we can get reacquainted," Charger yelled through the bars as the others left the building. It was Brayburn's turn to punch Charger, and this time the arrogant criminal received a bloody nose.
"You will not talk to her again, you monster!"
"Hey, aren't you one of the princesses? Aren't you supposed to be about law and order and all that stuff?" Charger asked Luna. "This is clearly abuse. Why don't you stop them?" "Indeed, I am Princess Luna, and you should feel lucky that my sister is the one who handles judiciary matters. If I had my say, I would have the authorities find the deepest, darkest hole they could, for you to spend the rest of your miserable life,"
Luna sneered at him. "Garnet, I'm going to accompany Macintosh and the girls back to their home. Try to have a good night." Luna snapped her tail at Charger and walked out of the holding area. "So what happens now?" Charger asked. "What happens now, as I come in there to clean up your injury. I can't have you bleed all over when the magistrate gets here. Those two are here to ensure you don't try anything funny while I clean you up." Garnet took out his key and unlocked the door. Without warning, Charger rushed the door and slammed into it, forcing Garnet to hit his head against the brick wall, knocking him out cold. "Well, well, looks like the only thing standing between me and freedom is a spineless coward and a fool with too much attitude. There's two of us and only one of you. Do you really think you're getting out of here?" Braeburn asked. The escaped prisoner charged between the two ponies, knocking them against the wall and cell bars. Braeburn was knocked unconscious when his head hit the brick wall behind him, and Jato was groaning from hitting the bars. Charger placed a hoof against the young Pegasus' bandaged wing and pressed down hard, causing Jato to cry out in pain. "Oh God, you're awake. I just wanted you to know that now that I'm free, I'll be leaving. With your broken wing you won't be able to catch me, and I doubt your friends are in any condition to help you either." Charger started to walk away when an evil thought crossed his twisted mind. He came back to Jato and jabbed his wounded wing again. "Before I go, I just had a thought, and I'd like to share with you. I'll be paying that little filly of yours a visit tonight when every pony's asleep. It will be a night to remember. I'm going to use every part of that filly to make me feel good, and the last thing she is ever going to feel is me, rotting into her over and over again." Charger laughed manically as he walked out of the sheriff's office and started to follow the numerous tracks away from the building towards a farm on the outskirts of town. After he left the building, Jato got to his hoofs and walked over to the amber stallion against the wall. "Braeburn, wake up!" he said, prodding the stallion in the ribs. "Come on, wake up!" Braeburn got up groggily. "What happened, and why is this room spinning?" "You're still dizzy from hitting your head on the wall. I need you to take the bandages off my wings." Braeburn looked over at him with a confused look on his face. "That bastard's going after Honey, and I can't catch up with him with my wings are bound." "But your left wing's broken. If you try to fly with a broken wing, you could lose it." "You think I care? Listen, Braeburn, you don't like me, and I'm not all too fond of you, but this isn't about us. We can hash it or go a few rounds later. Right now, all I care about is getting to Honey in time. Now unbind my wings, please." Jato pleaded with him. Braeburn was shocked at the young Pegasus' devotion to his daughter. Without another word, Braeburn undid the bandages from around Jato and watched him run out the door. Jato ran down the road as fast as his short legs would carry him. Pumping his legs as hard as he could, he felt his speed building up faster than he expected, and he didn't care. Only one thing occupied his mind, and that was to get to Honey as fast as possible, and to do that he knew only one thing. Feeling the muscles bunch and tightened in his legs, he jumped into the air with all the power he could muster. As soon as he took into the air, a rainbow contrail developed behind him almost instantly. The indolent Pegasus spread his wings forcefully, cringing at the pain in his left wing. The bone was fractured, forcing Jato to flex the muscles in an uncomfortable way just to keep the appendage straight. He tried as hard as he could to block the pain from his mind as he climbed into the air higher and higher. Scanning the ground as he climbed, he finally saw the orange pony walking down the road, dodging back and forth behind the apple trees. Not far ahead of him was Princess Luna and the others. Jato flipped his body painfully around and pointed his nose straight at escape a prisoner. The blue Pegasus flapped his wings harder than any time in the past. Up, down, the rhythm continuously running through his head. Urging himself harder and faster, he pushed his body beyond his known limits. Focused on his target, Jato barely noticed the wind cone building up around him. Gritting his teeth, he felt his wings flap even harder. All sounds seemed to go mute around him as the air exploded in a sonic rainbow, forcing Jato to a speed he never thought possible. Tucking his wings tightly to his sides, he dove like a comet from the sky. Blue feathers streamed away from him, floating softly down to the ground. He angled himself, driving his right shoulder into Charger's hips, slamming him into a tree with a sickening crunch. Luna, Applejack, Macintosh, Blossom, and Honey all heard the sonic explosion and watched a fiery red, orange, and yellow trail drive directly into the orchard. The ponies turned around and quickly ran to the supposed landing site, knowing only Jato could leave a trail like that behind.
When they arrived at the scene, the scream that ripped its way through Honey's mouth could be heard across Ponyville. There before them lay Charger, rinsing in pain, and Jato completely unconscious beneath an apple tree that had broken off at the base. Jato's right wing and shoulder appeared horribly mangled, while half of his left wing hung limply, connected to the rest of him by a few strands of skin and tendon. A broken shard of wing bone gleamed in the moon's light, his wings completely devoid of a single feather. Jato woke slowly. There was no sunlight. There was very little light at all. Around him he could hear various machines, whirling and buzzing in the background, but he could not see them or much of anything for the matter. He could feel the soft mattress beneath him, and knew he was lying in a bed, but whose? Jato tried to look around, but all he could see was blackness. The young Pegasus tried to move, but as soon as he did, lances of white-hot paint burned through him. "Hello?" he called, his chest aching badly as he drew in a deep breath. "Is anyone there?" Off in the distance a soft golden light appeared and seemed to speak to him in the gentlest voice he had ever heard. "Hush now, thou need thy rest. Please lay thee down and return to thy slumber." "Who are you? I don't recognize your voice," he asked. The ball of light came closer and took shape as if approached the side of the bed. It was an alicorn, though one Jato had never seen. She was tall, slender, and white like Princess Celestia, but her mane and tail were a fiery red in color. When Jato looked her in the eye, he saw two pools of deep blue sapphire. On her head she wore a crown of golden laurels. When she spoke, it sounded like the loving whisper of a mother to her foal. "Who we are is not important, little one. That thou survive is." "I'm frightened," Jato admitted, his eyes filling with tears. The alicorn smiled. "Dear sweet child, why art thou frightened?" "I'm afraid of what I will return to," he said. "My wings have most likely been destroyed. I can feel my body twisted and broken. Honey won't want to be with me when she sees what I've become. Her father hates me. I can't think of anything worse going back to." The angelic alicorn knelt over and softly kissed his forehead. "Calm thyself, child. Thy friends and loved ones are more forgiving and accepting than thou give them credit. Sleep now, and worry not about thy future. Be true and thy self, and never doubt thy courage, and thee will prevail in all things." Jato opened his eyes and found himself in a sterile white room in Ponyville General Hospital. "Oh, my head! Did someone get the name of the dragon that hit me?" Looking to his left, he noticed another hospital bed had been pushed next to his. Jato saw Honey laying there, her head rested on the pillow. "Honey, Honey," he said softly, trying to rouse her. He tried to reach his left front hoof over to her, but cried out as an intense pain shot up his arm and into his back. Honey's eyes snapped open as Jato cried out, "Oh, baby bird, don't move!" "I'm so happy you're awake. I'll be right back. Please don't move, okay?" Honey bounded off the bed and ran out the door. As Jato watched her go, he tried to sit up, but found that he couldn't move. He couldn't see what was holding him down, but due to the blanket tucked up under his chin. He lay there for what seemed like hours when Honey rushed back in, a battalion of ponies following her. Jato smiled at them as they entered the room. "I'd wave hello, but I can't seem to move for some reason." The ponies in the room looked down at the floor and shuffled their hooves. Fluttershy, Honey, Twilight, Luna, Rainbow Dash, and Soren approached the bed. "How are you feeling, Jato?" Luna asked. "It hurts everywhere, but I'm fine, I guess. How long have I been here?" he asked. "You've been here for a month," Fluttershy said. "It was touch and go there for a while, and a couple of times we didn't think you were going to make it, but you pulled through," she said, smiling. "A month?" he said in disbelief. Soren put a hoof on his son's bed. "Son, first I want you to know how incredibly proud your mother and I are. You were able to do a sonic rain boom, despite your size. I can't even do that," his father said. Jato looked over to his mother and saw the tears in her eyes. "Dad, what's wrong, and why can't I move?" "Jato, when you hit Charger, you slammed him into a tree and broke it off at the stump," Rainbow tried to explain. "At the speed you were going, you shattered his pelvis and your right shoulder. Charger will never walk again, but he's still behind bars. You were incredibly lucky, though. You could have died." "Why can't I move?" Jato demanded.
The only thing I can move is my left foreleg, and it hurts like heck to do that." A sudden thought occurred to the small Pegasus. He painfully grabbed the blanket and pulled it off from him, revealing the bandages covering most of his body. "What happened? Am I paralyzed?" he asked, tears welling up in his eyes. Honey stroked his mane and tried to comfort him. "Easy, sweetie. It's not as bad as it looks." "Jato, you broke your right shoulder and wing joint, crushed 3 ribs and broke your right wing," Fluttershy explained. "The tree you slammed Charger into broke off at the base and fell on you both. One of the tree's limbs punctured your left lung. You're very lucky to be alive, Jato. Oh, pardon me, I need to talk to your other doctors. Your left wing is a different matter. Half of your wing was almost completely ripped off when you performed that sonic rainboom," Twilight told him. "You lost some bone when you crashed. Fluttershy and the other surgeons had to put several small metal plates in your wing to stabilize it. When you're all healed up, you'll have to relearn to fly with all the added weight in your left wing." "The doctors and the princesses were able to heal most of the damage, and we gathered up as many of your feathers as possible so we could reimplant them, but we couldn't find them all. You will have to regrow a lot of them," Honey said. "The only reason you can't move is because Princess Twilight used a spell on the bed. You can't move yourself, but others could move you. It was so you didn't roll over in your sleep and hurt your wings further." "Oh, sorry about that, Jato. I'll release the spell, but you have to promise not to move around too much," Twilight said, after the young Pegasus nodded in agreement. Twilight lowered her head, and a light purple aura seemed to lift from the bed, allowing Jato to move on his own once more. Jato shook his head, trying to clear the rest of his long sleep from his mind. "Sorry about being over-dramatic there. I just had a really weird dream. I was talking to an alicorn before I woke up." Twilight chuckled a little. "Who was it? Luna, Celestia, or me?" "It wasn't any of you. She was really pretty, though." He felt Honey's eyes on him. "Not as pretty as you, though, Honey. It was weird. I'd never seen her before, but she seemed so familiar. Her voice was soft and gentle, and I know it sounds weird, but she spoke in Old Equestrian, and I could feel an amazing amount of energy coming from her." "What did she look like?" Luna asked, interested. "Her coat was the purest white of driven snow, and her mane and tail burned with the color and power of a red-faced star. Her eyes were 2 perfect blue sapphires, and at the top of her head she wears a golden crown of laurels that glows like the light of the full moon." Twilight spoke as if by automatic. "How did you know that?" Jato asked in disbelief. "I have no idea," Twilight said, rubbing her temple with the hoof. "Please excuse me. I have to go." Luna apologized before running out of the room. Twilight looked around at the bewildered expressions on the other ponies, excused herself, then ran after her wife. Jato watched the 2 princesses leave. "What was that about?" "I have no idea," Honey said. Brayburn approached the bed and put a hoof on the young light blue Pegasus' good shoulder. "Jato, I don't know what to say. You risked your life to protect Honey from that monster. Can you ever forgive me?" Brayburn asked him. "There's nothing to forgive. You're her father. If you weren't protective of her, I'd be worried." Brayburn pulled Jato into a fatherly embrace. "Just promise me you'll take good care of my little filly. She's the only one I have." When he released the young Pegasus, Jato noticed the broad silver band securely fastened around his hoof, the jewel honeybee shining in the light. "You mean it? You don't mind if Honey and me stay together?" "After what you did, I'd be proud to give my daughter away to you at your wedding whenever you decide to have it," Brayburn said as he walked towards the door, Pinkie Pie by his side. "Don't keep him up too late, Honey. He needs his rest." "Okay, Daddy," she said. Jato slowly sat up in bed. "What's going on?" "Daddy talked with your parents and the princesses. I'm going to stay with you at your house till you're better. Princess Twilight already cast a spell that will let me walk on clouds, but this only lasts 1 month. Fluttershy walked back into the room smiling. "Jato, I just spoke with the other doctors, and we've agreed you can go home, but you have to be careful. No flying at all until your wings are healed. If I find out you removed the bandages from your wings for any reason other than bathing, you're coming home with me, and Maggie will be your nurse." "Yes, ma'am," he squeaked. Soren walked back to the bed. "Come on, son, I'll carry you home." Jato slowly and carefully wrapped his front legs around his father's neck and slid onto his back. Rainbow Dash knelt down, allowing Honey to do the same.
Walking out of the hospital, Jato heard some of their friends talking to each other. "Hey, Garnet, did you hear your mom finally told your dad she was pregnant again?" Caramel asked. "Yeah, apparently Dad already knew," Garnet said, laughing. "Oh, hey, Jato, it's good to see you out of bed. You take care of him, honey." "You bet I will," she said with a smile. Soren walked out from under the entry canopy and looked back to his offspring. "You okay there, sport? Just hang on tight. We'll take this nice and slow," he said as he and Rainbow sprung into the air. Honey couldn't help but look around as they flew through the air. "This is almost as good as when you flew me around, Jato," she said, smiling. "Of course, the speed was fun, too." "If you want, I can speed around with you," Rainbow Dash said to her passenger, doing a quick loop. "No, that's okay, Mrs. Clouds." "Please, just call me Rainbow, or just Dash. You're practically family now. You don't need to be so formal." The 4 ponies slowly made their way past Sweet Apple Acres to the large cloud house floating in the sky. Landing softly, Honey experimentally put a hoof down on the clouds and found them firm beneath her. She stepped off Rainbow Dash and bounced slightly on the fluffy white surface. Rainbow Dash opened the door for her. "Welcome to our home," she said, smiling. Honey walked up next to Soren and allowed him to lower Jato across her back. "I really should get him into bed so he can get rest." Both Soren and Dash smirked at each other. "His room's upstairs, first floor on the left," Soren said. Honey thanked him as she brought her fiancé into the house. Honey slowly pushed open the door to his room and smiled at what she saw. The room was a complete mess. Comic books and apple soda bottles littered the floor. His bookshelves had just about everything but books on it, but the walls were what really caught her eye. Aside from a few Wonderbolt posters, his walls were covered with pictures of fillies showing off their flanks in various suggestive poses. Walking towards the bed, she carefully led him in. "You don't have any sheets or covers or anything?" "No, we usually just grab the cloud and pull it over us," Jato said. Reaching into the clouds that made up his bed, she pulled and found a portion of the cloud in her hooves. She pulled harder and a blanket of cloud emerged from the foot of the bed. Slightly astonished, she draped it over Jato and tucked it in around his head. "I don't know how warm that is, but I suppose it will have to do. If nothing else, I might ask your parents if they could get a blanket for me from my room back at the farm." Looking around the room, she quickly looked back at Jato. "Okay, these will have to go," she said, pointing at the lewd pictures on the walls. "I'm sorry if you don't like it, but I'm taking them down." "It's okay. You can take them down if you want. I mean, this room is yours now, too, while you're taking care of me. That is, unless you want a room of your own. We have 2 guest rooms," Jato said, blushing. Honey pulled the last of the dirty pictures from the wall and stuffed them into what appeared to be a special garbage bag that wouldn't fall through the clouds. She smiled as she began to pick up the garbage on the floor. "Oh no, I'll be staying in here. I'm not letting you out of my sight. Celestia only knows what sort of trouble you'd be getting into if I weren't here." After cleaning the whole room top to bottom, Honey sat back and admired her work with a smile. Grabbing the garbage bag, she walked towards the door and was met by Soren as she opened it. "Sorry, I didn't mean to startle you. Just wanted to let you 2 know that dinner was going to be in a few hours," he said. "Thank you, Mr. Clouds. Oh, by the way, is there some place I can put this? I fear I had to remove Jato's choice of wall decoration as well as the rest of the trash in this room." "I'll take care of it for you. So you took down his pictures? Rainbow is going to love you. Either way, I'll come get you when the food is ready, and please call me Soren." "Thanks, Soren," she said as she turned back into the room and closed the door. Looking back over to Jato, she saw him shivering in bed. Rushing over, she sat next to him. "Are you okay, Jato?" "Yeah, just a little cold." "Well, there's nothing to do for a few hours till dinner. I suppose I could keep you warm." "You don't have to do that," he said, blushing. "Jato, I said I'd take care of you, and I mean to see what you get the best of care." Honey lifted up the cloud cover and slid into bed next to him. Carefully she put her hoofs around his bruised and beaten body and cuddled with him. "Is this better? I'm not hurting you, am I?" "No, I'm fine, and you're so warm," he said, smiling. He pulled her closer to him, nuzzling against her cheek. Honey felt herself blush. Turning her head slightly, she kissed her future husband deeply. The 2 ponies lay there, kissing for a while before Honey pulled out of the intimate embrace. "Jato, I love you, and I have a confession. Ever since that first time we shared ourselves, I've wanted you again.
But I wanted this time to be different. I wanted to be held by you, touched by you, to be—" Jato held a hoof over her mouth. "It's okay, honey. I've wanted the same thing," he said, licking the edge of her ear. Slowly moving his left front hoof from her back, he slid it slowly down until it rested on her flank. Continuing the lick at her gentle curve of her ear, he started to rub the filly's flank. "Oh, baby bird, this feels so good. Please don't stop," Honey softly moaned. The Pegasus moved down her face and began to lick and bite at the left side of her neck. Sliding his hoof from her flank, he gently slipped in between her thighs. "Oh, Jato!" she yelled softly. Downstairs in the kitchen, Rainbow Dash and Soren couldn't help but silently laugh to themselves. "He got that from me too," Soren claimed proudly. Rainbow slugged him in the shoulder and walked back to the stove. As if. Across town, Landra's lovemaking had just finished. "Oh, Garnet, that was wonderful." "I do my best, Bloom." "Does your head still hurt? That jerk cracked you a good one back there," she asked, concerned. "I was hurting for a while, but it's fine now. I'm sorry we couldn't go on our dates that night, and with everything being so hectic at work with the publicity from Charger's capture, I haven't had a chance to take you out again. How about tomorrow?" "Sorry, I have an audience with Princess Luna tomorrow. I have no idea how long it will take." "I guess then if I want to do this, I'll have to do this now." Garnet bent over the side of the bed, and it sounded like he was digging for something underneath, his backside and tail waving in the air. Applebloom reached over and stroked his rump. Nice," Garnet sat back up in bed, with a slate-grey box in his hoofs. "What's that?" she asked. "I got this for you the other day. It took me a while to make, but I think it's worth it." Garnet set the box in front of the yellow mare. Applebloom studied the box for a moment and saw a name inscribed along the side. "The Rock Farm. Is this from Pinky's old home?" Garnet nodded. "You got me a rock?" "Would you just open it already?" he said, smiling. Applebloom slowly slid the top of the box off, revealing a thin gold band with a gem design that resembled Garnet's cutie mark exactly. Applebloom stared at the bracelet, then looked at Garnet with unshed tears in her eyes. "Is this... Applebloom Mildred Apple, will you marry me?" he asked. "Of course I'll marry you," she said, kissing the stallion passionately. Breaking the kiss, she punched his shoulder. "But if you tell any pony what my middle name is, I'll beat you to a pulp." "Agreed." Garnet reached over and placed the bracelet around her right front hoof. "I didn't think anything could make you more beautiful, but that bracelet sure is trying." He kissed his future wife and wrapped his powerful hoofs around her. They lay back down in the bed in each other's embrace. Applebloom had a sneaky smile on her face and reached a hoof down to massage between Garnet's thighs. "Again?" he asked incredulously. "I have at least a few years to catch up on." Applebloom felt her prize growing once more. "For too many lonely nights I've denied myself the pleasure of your company by not being here, and now that I'm back I intend on enjoying that company as often as I can." Garnet smiled. "I wouldn't have it any other way." On the other side of town a terrible dragon beset an innocent damsel. "Oh heavens, whatever shall I do?" Rarity said in an overly dramatic voice. "This horrible reptile has me bound and helpless. When shall a gallant knight come to save me from the dragon's lustful wanton desires?"
"You shall never escape. Again and again they have sent many knights to save you, and each fell before my might. Tasty, too."
The dragon taunted his captive.
"The entrance to this cave has been blocked and disguised, so none may ever find it. You are trapped here forever."
"Of all the worst possible things, this has to be the worst I could possibly imagine," Rarity said, being overly dramatic. "Won't some pony save this vulnerable, helpless, noble young maiden?"
"No one can hear you but me now."
"Come to think of it, what will I do with you?" the dragon asked himself. Getting a mischievous look in his eyes, he slowly approached the damsel. The dragon began to slide his long reptilian tongue over the unicorn's body. Starting at her ears, he licked down the side of her face and around her neck, fiddling the sensitive and almost unnoticeable scarred portion of her neck, where it met her right shoulder. The dragon sucked and licked the thin-skinned flesh. "Oh, what are you doing to me, you vile dragon?" she panted heavily.
I will make you mine, now and forever, he said, slowly biting down until he felt the sharp points of his fangs break the skin of her neck. Moving further down, he ran his long, sinuous tongue down her chest and stomach. Massaging her flank with his claws, he began to slightly drag his tongue around her nipples and inner thighs.
"Oh, this feels so good, but it's so wrong. You filthy animal! How dare you!"
The dragon reared back, exposing himself to the helpless pony. The unicorn could only marvel at the sight in front of her.
What do you intend doing with that? You can't mean to... No, it's far too big. You'll kill me."
Approaching her with lust in his eyes, the dragon held her down in preparation for his conquest of the voluptuous mare. In the room next door, two mares stared at each other in bed, mirth stamped on their faces.
"Oh, Spike, you filthy beast!
Your parents have to be the weirdest couple in Equestria," Scootaloo teased. The white unicorn next to her laughed.
"Just think, soon they'll be your parents too,"
Sweetie Belle informed her.
"Don't worry, in a few days the house will be ready and we won't have to listen to any more bedroom theater."
The orange Pegasus laughed and kneeled in bed next to her mare.
"Roar! I'm a terrible dragon and I'm going to eat some more pony,"
she said as she dove between the unicorn's thighs. At the library, Twilight was finally able to get Luna to talk to her.
"What's going on, dear? This isn't like you. You look like you've seen a ghost. What's going on?"
the Lavender Princess asked her. Luna took a deep breath and looked into her eyes of her lover. All she could see was compassion and longing reflected in those beautiful violet eyes.
"How did you know what she looked like?"
"I don't know why or how, but I think I've seen her before, twice. The first time was when me and our friends rescued you from Nightmare Moon, and then again when Nightmare Moon was attacking you in your mind, trying to take over again. I didn't have a conversation with her that first time, but she urged me on and showed me what I had to do to free you. Then, after you lost your wings during your second encounter with Nightmare Moon, she was the one who kept me from being overwhelmed with power and told me exactly where to strike and destroy the last remnant of Nightmare Moon," Twilight explained. "Do you know who or what she is?"
"Twilight, she's my mother."
Whoa! 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 Every pony... Seriously. Okay, I expected many things, and this chapter took me very long to record. This time it was not really the fault of the author, no. Seriously, it kind of was, but not because of mistakes in the writing, but because I felt very emotional about it. That scene when Brayburn accepted Jato, or when Jato attacked Chaser to protect his mare friend, his fiancée, I was so damn emotional about it. I think I had to record that part about 10 times. I'm serious. Because each and every time I broke out in tears. Seriously, I did. I don't know why, but I did. The thing is, I would seriously pretty much do the same thing. Actually, I have in the past. Not that dramatically, but I did something similar. Then the revelation that other alicorn is Luna's mother. Okay, seriously, I saw that coming. That one was really like... all of those who have read or listened to my reading of it, of Luna the Matchmaker, have realized, I think at least, that alicorn says, "Thou have saved my child." At least I think that was the line, or something similar. And, well, there it was kind of obvious. But I still think that she is the one who is Discord's acquaintance, his partner. In some weird way. I'm really looking forward to the next chapter. I would really like to read it right now, but I can't. Damn it. I have to go downstairs make dinner. Damn bucket, man. Seriously, I really like to ramble about these things, don't I? Well, maybe I should do review videos about fanfictions. Damn, maybe that's a good idea. Leave a comment if you would like to hear me ramble about fanfictions. Seriously, this chapter was so damn emotional.
because really, one character I liked about the last 3 chapters was Clyde Pie. He is just so damn awesome. I mean, okay, Grandpa Knows Best was a great chapter, really. I loved it. But that he actually would have his daughters make another bracelet for Jato so they could marry, and Luna would marry them off on the spot if Brayborn wouldn't make his peace with Jato. Oh man, damn it! dlazerus, that was brilliant! Because seriously, if you really think about it, Luna and Twilight both, and if they're really prince and princess, so have Dusk and Dawn, they have the power to actually marry someone off on the spot. Damn it, really, seriously. I have so many things I would like to say about this, but I think then this video would go, like 2 hours? I don't know. Seriously, I like this chapter. Man, you did a very good job writing this one, and I'm looking forward to read the rest. Sincerely yours, Visual Pony, and now I've rambled on enough.